Hi there. Today I thought we would do just a little mini flow for um, the upper body, neck, shoulders, maybe that mid back region. Um, a lot of times it's hard, especially if you're at a desk or on your phone. Sometimes it's just stress creeping up in those shoulders. So a quick, try to keep it to 10-15 minute flow to help kind of relieve some of that stress. So starting out in a seated position, if it's more comfortable for you to have a towel or a blanket and just fold it up part way and then sit on the edge, that just kind of creates a little bit more space, elevating those hips, letting the knees lower. Also, really important if this still is a really intense feeling on the hip flexors, bringing some blocks or maybe some more towels, blankets, placing them under the hips so that we're not creating any more tension. So the whole goal here is to kind of soften and release the hip flexors when they're feeling really tight, are just going to bring that tension up. It's all connected. So bringing some blocks, making sure that you're really comfortable. Maybe you don't, maybe this is enough softening in your hip flexors. Just move with what feels good for your body today. Taking a moment, just bringing those hands, they can be palms up, palms down, swaying a little bit from side to side just to see and root into the sits bones, into the ground. Become aware of that center column, your core, and then see if you kind of can't draw in from that low belly all the way up through the crown of the head just to find some lengthening here in the spine. If it feels safe for you to do so where you're at, just gently close your eyes nice and softly and begin to direct that breath deep into the belly, deep in between the hip points. Let your waist expand, let your back body expand, the ribs, all the way up into the throat without drawing shoulders up towards the ears. Keep those shoulders sliding down your back. As you exhale, open your mouth, soften the belly, soften the ribs, let everything just kind of sink down, soften into center. Once again, inhale, really expand. Expand from that center column outward. Get really big. Draw that breath up all the way to the crown of the head and maybe a little bit of hold of the breath. As you exhale, bring that low belly to soften, ribs soften. Maybe you even feel the shoulders release down and away from the ears. And then another deep inhale. Let that breath draw down to the base of your tailbone, expanding that space right in that back body, above the glutes, the waist, the belly. Let the belly go. Oftentimes we're holding in that stomach. Just fill it up. Let it soften. Let it expand. Hold here with that inhale. And as you exhale, open your mouth, side out. So 3 deep breaths can have the effect of taking your body into that fight or flight, the sympathetic nervous system that's on high alert, to the parasympathetic, softening, rest and digest mode. It lets the brain know that everything in the space is okay and can allow the body to kind of release some tension. Bringing those hands on the top of the knees. This time, as you inhale, think of sending that tailbone back as if maybe the floor were sliding it back. There's a little arch in the tailbone, a little lift of the chest, lift of the chin. As you exhale, curl that spine under, draw navel to spine, back body towards the back wall. Use those hands as a lever. Inhale it up. If ever any of the props underneath you become cumbersome, just move them out of your way. Exhale, draw that chin to chest, draw that navel back towards the spine. Inhale it up. Exhale. Then come more to a neutral spine. Once again, allow those sits bones to root down, crown of the head to lift up. You can have some blocks beside you. Take a nice inhale, reach the arms up, but allow shoulder blades to glide down your back. As you exhale, that left hand comes down towards the block or maybe the mat, keeping the shoulders open so you're not collapsing shoulders in on each other. Reach that right arm over, feel that stretch. Keep that right sits bones down to the ground. Inhale, come back up to center. As you exhale, that right hand comes down, left hand reaches over. Everything is staying open. That left sits bones down to the ground. And just find a nice little sway from side to side using your own breath. Flow to the timing of your breath. Maybe feel that stretch get a little bit deeper towards each side. Feel that spine still growing nice and long. Your seat is still kind of rooted down towards the earth. Then come back up to center and take a nice big inhale in. As you exhale, cactus those arms, draw elbows towards the back, draw shoulder blades toward the back, draw that low belly in and up. Maybe the chin lifts just slightly, and then release, hands down. Whichever foot you have in front, we'll go ahead and switch that out just to even ourselves out. Maybe moving those blocks if you have them there, taking those left fingertips and just kind of inching them over towards the left here. Then take your gaze down towards those left fingertips so your chin is a little bit towards that left collarbone. And then as if you could just draw a diagonal line from those fingertips up towards the ceiling, take your gaze up there. So now the chin is kind of above the shoulder, looking to the right, back down towards the left fingertips. Just starting to work into the cervical spine. A lot of times it gets really stiff as we look down at our phones, or maybe you slept a little wonky. Just making sure that we maintain that movement. Staying up towards center, sometimes it's easy to drift over. Keep that center line, that spine nice and long. And then come back towards center, inch those right fingertips over, still staying upright. So not wanting to lean over, but still staying upright. Those fingertips on the right, just inching over. Take your gaze down towards those fingertips and then back up. So on the diagonal, just moving the spine in kind of a motion that we don't typically do, keeps that mobility, helps stretch. So just make that diagonal line with the gaze, moving slow. We'll go one more time and then come back towards center. Coming back up now towards center, then take that left hand. So using your index finger and thumb on your collarbone, so they're making contact on either side, and just kind of lower that hand. It's just a slight little downward motion. Bring that right hand onto the top of it and just soften down. Then take that left ear towards left shoulder. Take a nice big inhale as you exhale, just a gentle downward motion with the hands. We're not looking to really compress, but even just the weight of your hands on that collarbone. With that left ear towards left shoulder, then draw the back of the skull towards the back of your room, just gently. And now here's the really fun part where you all get to laugh and look at me, but just open your mouth here. And you will start to kind of feel that stretch a little bit closer to your throat, maybe a little bit in your ear, just depending. Everybody's anatomy is different. Just open that mouth, let that breath soften, shoulder blades down your back. And then gently come back to center. Maybe make some rolls into the shoulders just to soften there. Then switch it out with the right hand, index finger and thumb on the top of those collarbones. Place your left hand on top. Kind of feel it drawing up from that low belly, like a wave of the spine up to lengthen through the crown of the head. Then let that right ear drift down towards right shoulder. Just take a moment to feel that stretch on the side. And then from here, just draw the back of the skull backwards, not letting it drop all the way. It's just a little draw towards the back. And then open your mouth. And you may kind of move around slightly in every direction to find that sweet spot. Once you're there, allow that breath to really infuse that and soften. Soften shoulder blades, soften tops of the shoulders. And gently come back up towards center. Roll those shoulders out. Then we're going to come into table. So if you have a particularly hard floor, it might be nice to bring that towel or blanket with you, bringing that underneath your knees. We're going to tuck the toes underneath to start opening up in the bottom of the feet. So oftentimes I think we forget when we're sitting, when we're working, that our feet are all connected, that that entire back body is connected. If this becomes really intense, you can untuck those feet just sitting back on the toes, or feel free to bring a block, kind of resting a little bit more. Maybe you need two on the blocks. As you're seated here, find that lift of the low belly. So let that wave of the spine come up, just gently drawing that low belly towards the mid back. We're not drawing the low belly just back towards the spine just to sink in our gut. We want just more of a wave up, an elongation of the spine, and a kind of an engagement of the core than we do a flat belly. Who cares about a flat belly? Take a nice big inhale. As you exhale, soften those shoulders down. Bringing those arms out in front, bring that right arm underneath the left, wrapping them around to eagle arms. So back of the hands can come together, or wrapping so palms come together. As you inhale, let elbows lift, shoulder blades and shoulders soften down. As you exhale, think of rounding that belly back towards the spine as the elbows curve in. Feel that spaciousness in between shoulder blades. On your next inhale, take a breath there to expand the space between your shoulder blades. As you exhale, let those arms get a little bit heavier, broadening the space, maybe stretching in the shoulders as well. Take one more inhale, expanding in the back body. This time, as you exhale, unravel those arms, maybe a little cactus to wind them around. If this becomes really intense on your feet, just feel free to untuck those toes, maybe even come forward and tap them out. And then maybe that might be enough just to come back, or just keep them untucked. This time, once again, draw that spine nice and long. Use that core to lift through the crown of the head. This time, where are we at here? We're going to do right over left. So back of the hands, palms can come together. Shoulder blades release down and away from the ears. Inhale the elbows up. As you exhale, feel that curl forward from that low belly. So you're not just drawing the hands down, we're actually kind of curling in here, rounding in the back. Feel that spaciousness between shoulder blades. On your next inhale, really puff up that back body. As you exhale, let those arms get nice and heavy, separating shoulder blades, stretching out shoulders. Inhale one more time into that back body. As you exhale, unfurl, unwind, bring those arms up, coming forward. You can tap out those toes. And then kind of walking those arms, those hands quite a bit forward. While you keep your hips stacked over your knees, just start to let that heart melt down to the ground. That gaze can come forward. If you'd like, you can even bring a block, placing it in front, and then letting that head kind of soften, forehead soften down towards the block. Keep that energy, keep that activity, hands pressing forward. Take a big inhale into that back body. As you exhale, you might feel a little bit more softening down. Feel that stretch in the chest, that spaciousness back behind the heart. Deep breath in, kind of strengthening here as well as stretching to keep that upper shoulder region active and strong. And then just gently walk those hands back. Kind of taking a minute to fan out the fingertips. Find that nice long spine, so that wave forward, that low belly gently drawing in and up. Keep that right hand down on the mat and then sweep that left arm open, spinning the chest open. As you exhale, thread that left hand through. Let the left shoulder, left side of the head touch down briefly. Then we'll inhale, come back up again. Find that twist. Feel that stretch in the chest. Exhale, thread through left shoulder, left side of the head touches briefly. One more time, opening up, and then we'll soften into that threading of the needle. So let that left shoulder, left side of the head briefly. We'll know we're going to land now. Walk that right hand forward if it feels good to you. Keep those hips square to the mat, keeping hips square to the mat. If you're not feeling that stretch here, inch that left hand forward. Take that gaze further underneath that right armpit. Feel that opening back behind the shoulder blade. Deep inhale into that space. As you exhale, soften somewhere else. Then coming back nice and gently on an exhale, moving slow. Bring those hands back underneath shoulders, fan those fingertips wide. Once again, find that neutral spine, but that core is engaged. That core is helping us lift nice and gently. As you inhale this time, sweep that right arm up, opening the chest. Exhale, thread that right hand underneath. Right shoulder, right side of the head briefly touches down. Inhale, sweep it open. Exhale, briefly landing down. Inhale, open it up. This time actually kind of landing into that space. So keep drawing that right arm forward. Let that shoulder land, maybe kind of rolling back on it to feel that shoulder blade separate. You can walk that left hand forward. Take your gaze a little bit further underneath your armpit. You might feel a little bit deeper stretch. Breathing into that space between shoulder blades. As you're ready on your exhale, if that left hand is forward, slide it back. Press yourself all the way up. Once again, coming back to your knees, clasping hands in the back. So clasping the hands, keeping them on the top of the tailbone, that kind of sacral area. Soften that tailbone so we're not having a huge arch in the low back by bringing pubic bone to belly button, but we're not rounding and getting rid of that curvature altogether, just a little bit of softening. As you inhale, open up the chest, straighten those arms so the knuckles are kind of going towards the floor, towards the back wall. Stretching out the chest muscles to kind of help. A lot of times we cashew or round in, especially at our desks. Keeping those hands clasped, then bring hands to the top of that left hip, keeping that good alignment so that crown of the head is lengthening, tailbone is slightly softening. Take your gaze over towards that left shoulder. And honestly, if I'm out of time, this is the one stretch that I will do to kind of realign. If I've been on my phone or at my desk, come back towards center, bring those arms back to center, open up the chest, open up shoulders, soften tailbone, just nice and gently. You're not rounding in, getting rid of that curve altogether, just making sure that there's not a huge curve in the lower dotic spine. Then bringing both hands to the top of that right hip, taking gaze over that right shoulder, soften both shoulders down. Big inhale in. And unwind. Maybe just taking a moment, bringing hands on top of the knees, just giving yourself a little bit of space and time to breathe will help kind of connect to the parasympathetic nervous system to slow down, release some tension, and find a good center. So I hope this helped. I hope your shoulders and upper back are feeling better after this, and I will see you soon.